Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Nadex Morning Analysis, where we look at hot spots in the markets for the day. It is Monday, September 27th. I cannot believe we are almost done with September of 2021. Time just goes by way too quickly. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple is Brian Caprice. Before Brian and I jump into it today, we do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. So today in the markets, what we're going to be looking at, what we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be pretty much just going straight to the charts and looking at some levels. But what are we seeing? One, energy higher. We're seeing crude oil trading up near 3-year highs. Uh, Crude oil is taking off. We know that we've got a supply issue globally. There are challenges in the UK. I know there are challenges even here, oddly enough, in the US, where people aren't able to get gasoline at the pumps or the gas stations are running low. And there are some shipping issues around moving this around. So we're seeing oil and we're even seeing nat gas punch higher. So energies is really kind of where it's at today. From there, we're going to take a peek over at the metals. Gold, even though it punched higher last week, it retraced. It's back down below 1750 an ounce. While gold is lower, we're seeing silver actually go a little higher. So we're seeing a little difference there in those precious metals. Following the German elections, the euro is doing nothing, a big nothing. We can actually just mention why we don't think anything's happening there, mostly because it's such a super minority government. Talk about razor thin margins. And then the last thing we're going to talk about, equities. Uh, Kind of mixed this morning, but the one outlier are technology stocks. Technology stocks in the Nasdaq gapping lower, down about 1%. We're looking to open down 1% on the open. Don't know why it's technology stocks versus others, but that is the hot spot. So let's really what we're going to focus on is energy and probably the Nasdaq. But the other stuff is worth mentioning. So Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you and let's kick it off with the energy.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing what's moving today. I mean, the biggest two movers are, oil, which is actually finally starting to come back, but that's up basically 2% in the overnight, and then you see natural gas also up about 6% right now. So huge bits of movement. It's something that we've mentioned in the past, and it's funny. There's a couple articles out there. There's not like one. This is the reason why for this. But some interesting points are made in here about how, they're talking about, news has emerged of rolling blackouts in northern China due to coal shortages, despite the Chinese Communist Party stipulating lower power consumption goals. And again, remember that was kind of the what they mentioned for why they outlawed all cryptos because they are environmentally unfriendly, particularly with power consumption. So that was one aspect of it. Talking about the UK is facing looming fuel crises as well, and then that there may be some current concerns about Russian energy supply. And it's interesting that they're mentioning the Russian energy supply because, again, Russia is also associated with natural gas. So I'm wondering if this has been the driving factor for this one. Russia has no shortage of natural gas either, but what they choose to do with it is entirely up to Russia. And again, they're talking about how the Norwegian krone is moving. Another thing they said is, they're worrying about commodities are the increasing cost of shipping with the Baltic Dry Freight Index climbing into 13-year highs.
I don't
Basically
know if you
meaning
could
that
adjust
shipping
your
costs are high.
microphone. It's kind
What?
of doing something. Your microphone's doing something weird.
Minus?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
giving
know.
us some. It's like,
Some
eh,
feedback.
nah. It's kind of making your voice sound a little odd every once in a while.
A little odd. Is it like a voice changer? Do I sound like an alien?
Yeah, you know.
That could be cool. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Actually, no.
Uh,
Whatever you just did, it just maybe it was where the microphone was. You're good.
I
Sorry
don't
about
know.
that.
Yep,
All
no
right.
idea. But they did want to point out here that again, shipping costs are high, and that there's an upcoming OPEC Plus meeting on October 4th. Why that's important is, if you guys remember last month when they were talking about increasing the amount of barrels they produce per day, there was a big fight, and they needed all the members to agree on it. And there was one country that said no. So again, this is one of those scenarios where, we brought it up that OPEC is definitely, without a doubt, a manipulator. They're controlling the supply. With the globe kind of coming back and recovering, now all of a sudden we're talking about energy shortages, yeah, but they've been cutting supply for such a long period of time, saying that demand was going to be much, much lower. Guess what? that was a lot. Whether they knew it or what, everybody was saying, "Why are you continuing to cut? We need to produce more." And now we're talking about shortages in many countries. They're happy
Right.
with oil at 75%. And
Or
again,
so,
the
yeah.
question is, with it this high, what does that, what other types of innovation or sources does that kind of drive? Um, at the end of the day, what it means for us is higher energy prices, higher gasoline prices, higher. I mean, heating oil in particular is another one of those ones that's going up, as well as natural gas. So we'll see. I think this will be an interesting story this week as far as where kind of oil is in the chart and what we can do with it today. Um, Again, it's pushing higher and higher and higher. We can see that we have a zone just a little bit farther above from where we are, up at that $76.20.
I mean, that's
If we
got to
mark
go
off,
back.
huh?
I mean, that's got to be a level from a long time ago.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though.
Yeah.
I would say right now, this is kind of what we had in the European session. This is a decent move higher. Um, obviously it's a bit different than what we had before, with the little on Friday and then the big move. Let's see. We are up, what are we at? About $1 worth of movement so far in the overnight session. So it's not horrible. It typically is very rare that we turn and roll. Again, we typically see a lot more of again, 2 days in a row, you can see the same pattern, right? Down in the European session, up in the US session. So when we
Yep.
have it up today, it looks like this will probably continue, or want to at least continue to go higher. Um, yeah, it's probably, that's I believe that was done last time we hit that one was in July. So not too far back.
All right.
Not too far back. But I would say probably to the upper regions of that is where a feasible target is, up in like the 76, 70-ish range. Kind of one of those things. I mean, China's already made comments about energy inflation prices are getting out of hand. So far, the United States has not really mentioned it as well. We'll see. I mean, a lot of this also has to do with canceling the pipeline and the increased supply into the United States for oil. So, yeah, I would say there's probably a short opportunity today. I don't know that I'd step in front of this right away, but look if we can get some type of a basing up in the 76, 70-ish range. If we can get a decent top in there, there'll be some profit taking today and give us, giving an opportunity to go lower. Are we going back down to $60? Probably no time noon or no time soon with the recovery. We'll see how it kind of plays out. Remember, tomorrow we'll get the API numbers and we'll kind of see truly what the actual numbers say. It's always nice to say, yeah, we don't have a lot of supply. We're going to charge you more. And then we see the
Right.
supply numbers. But
All
I
right.
don't think
Well,
we
I
have a
mean, it's
forecast
just
yet.
interesting. Gold. I mean, oil just keeps going higher,
No
and
forecast yet.
so look for that 76 level up above where we might see a little bit of consolidation. Um, let's move over to. I mean, this just keeps going higher and higher, and I know much to your dismay. And here, Brian, I'm gonna put your chart back. Yeah, if you want to bring up Nat Gas, let's just take a look at what you got. I mean, again, it's
Yeah, the next time we run into really any type of sellers up here for natural gas is let's see, right up here at what, $5.58. That was the last time. And again, it's withheld one kind of strong push up and an immediate turnaround. So that would be the next level I'd be looking at. There's really nothing stopping it. I hate to say this. There's nothing stopping it from going higher at this point. And again, remember, whenever there's news about Russia not delivering, that's a natural gas situation. Natural gas is in Europe is pretty much supplied by Russia. Russia kind of holds that back. Is like, no, 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 no. Russia has no lack of ability to kind of manipulate that market. So um, I don't see any reason why it won't go higher at this point. I hate to say that. And now that the weather is starting to get a little bit colder, people are starting to worry about it and focus it. Now it
yep.
becomes a supply and demand type scenario. Like, I need it, right? I have 20% left in my tank.
You have no
I don't need to
choice.
get it this week. I don't have to get it probably in the next 30 days, but I'm going to need it before the wintertime. So it's getting to the stage where it's kind of like everybody's probably in the same scenario. If you use natural gas, for heating, guess what? When you're worried about wintertime, natural gas is one of those things that becomes more popular, and we tend to see it go higher. So, again, we don't have there's absolutely no shortage of supply for natural gas whatsoever in the United States. Actually, Pennsylvania is like the Middle East for natural gas.
Yep.
But again, it's the perception. The perception becomes reality that, hey, listen, there's energy shortages. Okay, let's
And
make
so
natural
people
gas
are all scrambling.
5 times the
Yeah.
amount, right? Yeah.
So we definitely a couple of hot spots there
Yeah.
in oil. Let's jump over to the Nasdaq, and we'll come back and just kind of quickly cover, you know, gold, silver. I mean, there's really nothing to talk about in the euro.
Now,
Um,
currencies are flat, and the reason why is the German election. It's
yeah.
over.
By the way, the consensus is that you won't get your nat gas until it gets up to $6.50.
Well,
Then
the joke's on you.
you'll
I
pay
actually
six
don't
and a
use
half
natural gas.
bucks, and then
I use propane, not natural gas, which is cheaper naturally. So propane is the byproduct of natural gas. So I actually use propane, not natural gas. So I'm somewhat protected. So no, I will not be buying natural gas at 650. I have propane, and I have two systems in my house. So if I really want to, get to that
yeah.
stage, I do have two heaters. So I don't. No.
Let's jump over to Nasdaq. We'll do gold and silver last. We'll do gold and silver
Sure.
last.
Yeah,
All right, there we
Nasdaq's
go.
dropping. We talked about these big psychological levers. That's why I've kept them kind of highlighted here. We talked about 1540 last week being able to get up there, and that's what it did. It ended up bouncing right off of it, and then nothing but kind of straight back down. And it's funny, these dotted lines have been on the charts forever, and it literally took that bounce right off that level twice, right? Twice, Thursday and Friday. And since that time, we've just had nothing but negativity, and we pushed back down. Now we're back down at the 15,200 mark. We did kind of break through a little bit. And it's an area that's provided some buyers in the past. With the driving down, again, we do have a kind of a little bit bigger of a gap till we go to this a little bit lower. But right now, it's kind of one of those things. It's, we've seen NQ respond the most positive way from COVID because, again, everything was technology based. Everybody was, doing things at home. Now, with everything going back to the way that it was, it's kind of time to pay the piper. Now, we're down just about 0.75% so far today. It's been pretty violent. If you look at starting right, let's see, where is it? Right here. Right here is the European session. Actually, I'm sorry. This was this morning. This was not last week. This was this morning. Here's the European session. So this is a lot of movement in a short period of time driving it down. I would say probably look for some profit taking. We may get an initial bounce early in the morning. And then again, at that point, we really kind of need to start looking to see what the other indices are doing to see if we can get some help. We obviously know that this is the weakest in the overnight. Right now, the Russell, the YM, and then the ES was flirting between red and green. If they can start to maintain and start to build up some momentum into the top side, there will be a bouncing in the NQ. But if those guys all roll into the red, again, I could see the NQ coming down today, potentially to
Right.
15,020. And look at accompanying markets, seeing gold starting to go up a little bit, starting to see, bonds are really starting to spike now as well. Remember, when bonds are spiking, it tends not to be good for the overall indices. It's the play between stocks and bonds. So if bonds are going to start rallying and start pushing up, then again, I can see that negativity rolling in and NQ potentially coming all the way down. Question is this the area we're going to really kind of form our base? So it looks like we have profit taking right now. And, if we extend this across, where can it go? Really cleanly, at least down into that 15,075, but really 15,020 could be the target for later on today with any type of negativity. And the news, we did have news this morning, which probably added to it a little bit. The core durable good orders came down. They were much less than expected. And again, the durable goods actually went way up. So it's kind of a split mix. And again, there's a lot of speeches today. There was one actually earlier. Evans is talking about how, as the year progresses, I anticipate most supply side difficulties will be essentially handled. That's great news. I believe the long run inflation expectations are still likely somewhat below the Fed's target. That's not necessarily the best thing for gold, but again, that should help the overall indices. I'm more concerned about the U.S. failing to generate enough inflation in 2023 and 2024 than I am about living with too much money.
Huh.
And then inflation has not gotten unacceptably high. A low unemployment rate does not necessitate a change in policy rate.
That's interesting. And then the
Yeah.
other thing I will say, really, tomorrow morning, Powell is testifying.
Yeah.
So then you don't know what the questions are going to be. So while there's not a whole lot on the docket for the news today, so much, there's interesting things that are going to happen all day long. Tomorrow morning, when they put Powell in the hot seat and rapid fire questions at him, we'll see if anything interesting shakes out of that.
Yeah, I would say two things to watch out for later today is England BOE Governor Bailey is speaking at 2 p.m. Kind of a weird time for them to speak. He is speaking at a Society of Professional Economists. It's a dinner. Could he say something? It's not typically policy, but talking about the recovery could be positive for the pound today. If we've seen the dollar movement go pretty strong this morning, that could be an opportunity for somewhat of a reversal in the pound dollar, or even maybe the pound yen at 2 p.m. And also tonight, 9:30 p.m. retail sales is a very important number. It's expected to be negative for the Aussie. That thing comes in, or they're -2, not as bad as expected. That could be a big rollover point as well for the Aussie dollar, as well as the Aussie yen. And remember, we don't have U.S. influences at night, so those tend to be pretty good trade setups.
All right. Well, with that, any questions for Nadex, please email us customerservice@nadex.com. Any questions for Brian? By all means, please feel free to email Brian, support@keeptradingsimple.com. What did we talk about this morning to set up the week? One, energies are off to the races. It's a supply chain issue, a supply issue, and it's in the supply chain, whether it's shipping or production. But we're seeing both natural gas and oil higher. Uh, Euro not doing anything really following the election in Germany. Slim margin, really no impact to the foreign exchange rate. Nasdaq in the equities looking to open lower. Uh, is it going to lead the equities down across the board? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens when the retail trader gets in a half hour. But keep an eye on the Nasdaq. Seems to be another hot spot. And then I know we briefly mentioned. We really didn't even jump into it. Not a lot to talk about, but gold did retreat down below 1750, and we're seeing some support in silver.
Mhm.
So those metals going in different directions. With that, Brian and I will catch you tomorrow morning. So until then, and remember, tomorrow morning we are going to have, I dropped the link in there as a reminder. Powell is going to be testifying, so that could be kind of interesting. So good luck in the markets, everyone. We will catch you